Tonight on Undercover Customs, a smuggling drama in the Scottish Highlands. At stake, drugs worth £100 million.
Can you imagine trying to follow someone in a place like this, where anybody, particularly a stranger, would be immediately obvious? Operation Klondyke unfolded in exactly this sort of wild and remote country, the Highlands of Scotland, where the landscape and the tight-knit community made a difficult undercover job almost impossible. As you'll see, customs officers were forever trying to piece together leads, and often found their investigation leading them up blind alleys. It's a story full of twists and turns and red herrings. What made it worse was that an enormous amount of drugs was at stake, and behind it all a well-organized and sophisticated drug runner, a man we've called Neil Weston. We've reconstructed what happened using actors.
The Highlands has a coastline of over 4,000 miles in length. It's sparsely populated and numerous coves, potential landing sites. These are all act as a natural magnet to the discerning drug smuggler.
We have protected the identity of the undercover officer in this operation.
It first started from a telex that we received in Glasgow from the Spaniards, saying that there was a Scots guy in the south of Spain called Weston who was about to import into Scotland 4 ton of cannabis. Unfortunately for us, the information came about 2 or 3 weeks too late, and we'd missed it. Weston probably had a financial stake in the drug consignment, but it probably wasn't all of his. It would have been financed by people in the south coast of Spain, probably London criminals who stay out there. It was probably their drugs. But when we started digging into Weston's past, we managed to piece together half a dozen people that we had a fair idea were involved.
One of those people was an experienced sailor and diver who lived in Ullapool in the northwest of Scotland, a character known as Crazy Chris Howarth.
You know what's the matter with you? No bottle, no vision, that's why you're stuck here.
In a lot of rural communities like that in Scotland, there are a lot of drugs about, and there was a lot in Ullapool. So if anybody was to take a poll of the Ullapool residents who would have been involved in something like this, I think Chris would have been in the top half dozen.
But keeping watch on anyone in a small town like Ullapool, particularly someone like Chris Howarth, wasn't going to be easy.
We had people in Ullapool for nearly a year. It's a tiny little fishing village. And especially during the winter, there is no reason for anyone to be there.
Still here, you must be enjoying your stay.
Aye.
So that was the major problem, was actually working up there without arousing the suspicions of the locals. But the prime objective was to follow Weston whenever he came into the UK.
Every day, customs officers scroll through airline passenger lists, looking for a few suspected smugglers among literally thousands of names. It's a job which requires extraordinary patience. But the next time Neil Weston flew into Britain, customs were waiting.
Nice briefcase, sir.
Spanish. Well, you got a better class of leather. Would you like it opened?
Oh, that would be nice.
Be my guest. Sorry it's all so tidy. I'm afraid I'm a wee bit of a control freak.
Well, we've got a few of those in the customs service, sir.
Well, I'm sure you couldn't run it without them. Hasta la vista.
Delta Romeo 1, eyeballing target.
When he arrived at Heathrow, he'd have to try and work out in advance what he would do. Would he hire a car and drive up to Scotland? Would he jump on the shuttle? Would he go on the train? we would try and narrow it down and try and put ourselves in his position.
Lift off. We have lift off.
The first time that Weston came into the country and we actually managed to get a surveillance team out and follow him and actually see him meet up with these people, that was great.
Target 1 is stop, stop, stop.
It was all suspicion, based on rumours, but to actually see it happen, it was magnificent. And we knew, once we saw that they would do it again.
Go. Target 1 is meeting target 2. Repeat. Target 1 is in contact with target 2.
So the link between Weston and Crazy Chris Howarth was now established. But Weston returned to Spain, and the trail went cold. The next development took months, but the wait seemed worthwhile.
Customs and police up to this area to search it.
It's here! Over here!
In fact, the full story of how the cocaine had been smuggled into Scotland would stay a mystery for months, until a ship was seized by Canadian authorities.
We heard from two sources that in fact the boat that had brought the drugs to the UK was a vessel called the DMRB. And these 26 bales of drugs were lowered over the side in a dinghy. The dinghy bashed against the side of the boat a couple of times, and Chris and Noel sailed the drugs to Klondyke Bay and hid them. They then should have destroyed the dinghy. They were told to destroy it, but they didn't. And that was their major, major mistake. When we took the samples of paint from the DMRB back to Scotland to compare with what we'd taken both from the dinghy and from the van, they all matched. When we first examined the paperwork from the DMRB, we found Crazy Chris's number, his telephone number in Ullapool, which was just absolutely incredible. And the other thing, which really was the icing on the cake, was that when we had the charts examined by the fingerprinting section at Aberdeen, they found right in the middle of a chart Chris Howarth's fingerprint. It was magnificent evidence, absolutely brilliant. You just couldn't have asked for more.
Chris Howarth was given 25 years. David Forrest, 10 years. Ian Ray got 7 years, and the skipper of the DMRB, Francisco Torres, 30 years.
I think it's probably the best job I've ever been involved in. I think the result was spectacular, but there is always the black spot, which is the fact we never ever did get a hold of Weston. And that was a real blow, that was a sickener, because he was the guy we wanted. And we had a great case against him.
In fact, Neil Weston had been arrested in Spain and was awaiting extradition.
In the case of Neil Weston, our last missing piece of the jigsaw, his escape from custody in Spain was disappointing for the investigation team, but we will meet him again. I don't think he'd be too pleased to meet us, but I think in the fullness of time, that's exactly what will happen.
Hasta la vista.
He'll turn up again and somebody will catch him. And then I'll go and say hi. Do you remember me?
Over on Sky Real Lives, Channel 253 tonight, rapid response paramedic Keith is called to the dramatic case of a 64-year-old man who has been severely burned. The drama is real in brand new London Ambulance at 8:30.